Newton's cradle is that clicky-clacky ball thing. What happens if you put 4 SCP-018s on it and push one side?
Good afternoon, Foundation staff. Dr. Theron Sherman here, and today we're going to be reacting to some more SCP shower thoughts from friend of the channel, SCP Wyatt. Make sure to subscribe to SCP Wyatt if you like his stuff, subscribe to Site42 if you like our stuff, and don't forget to leave your SCP shower thoughts in the comments so we can answer them in our next SCP shower thoughts audience video. Priority answers given to Site42 patrons as well as YouTube members. Let's jump in.
What happens if you put SCP-173 underwater and look away? Can he swim up and snap your neck, or does he just sink to the floor like a sad concrete brick?
So part one of this answer is that yes, SCP-173 would sink to the bottom of the pool because it is concrete and rebar, so it's heavier than water / denser, it would sink. The thing is, that's not going to hold it for long. If you play Containment Breach and other games like it, you'll always see 173 skittering around on the floor, it goes upstairs, it's very rules-based because that's good for video game mechanics. But in real life, there's a reason that we keep it locked in a room with a big metal door, not just an empty pool. Because if the pool is a solid bottom, then that viscous blood and feces mixture that 173 excretes will create a hill eventually, and it will get out of its place if it doesn't just jump out of it itself, because it can move so gosh darn fast. It just spins around a little bit like a blender and then gets a whoo and off on an angle. So yes, unfortunately, you might not last a minute, and you might not last at all. So, next question.
If someone looks at SCP-096 and then gets Roblox oofed and is brought back to life, does Shy Guy still attack them?
I think it would. Now, we're not testing this hypothesis, because then we'd have to use one of our rare ability to resurrect a human being with its soul intact and not a demon or anything like that. That's pretty high-grade stuff that we don't want to waste for no reason. And even then, if you come back to life, and the image of 096 is still in your brain, it's still going to be mad, it's still going to come for you. I doubt it's a one-kill rule. I think you're done no matter what. Next question.
SCP-018 is a ball that bounces faster and faster forever after you throw it. Does that mean you can tie it to a generator of some kind to make infinite energy?
So you see, 018 is the super ball. It can keep bouncing faster and faster every time. It ignores the laws of physics. So the problem is, what would you attach it to in a manner that could harness that energy? Some sort of string on the end of a turbine that it bounced in a circle, but eventually it's going to bounce in a way that is going to rip the turbine arm off. I don't see any good way to harness this energy that is cost effective, but if you've got any hypotheses, put them in the comments. Next question.
If SCP-106 Radical Larry looked at Shy Guy, and Shy Guy was able to get 106, how would Shy Guy eat Larry? Wouldn't Larry just corrode through his stomach from the inside out like some really bad stomach burn?
So, SCP-106 the Old Man versus 096 the Shy Guy. We don't have this fight in the actual database because, oh my gosh, it would be so destructive to whatever site it took place in. But we do have some hypothetical battles written by friend of the channel, Dr. Sumerian. Go check out his work. On his section of the wiki database called the Versus Hub, the SCP Versus Hub, he has battles between 106 and 173, and then 173 versus 096. So now it's a rock, paper, scissors thing where we're taking 106 and 096 and seeing how they did. So when 106 fought 173, 106 eventually won, although 173 hurt the ever-loving crap out of it, broke a lot of its bones. They will re-heal, but 106 managed to dissolve 173. Ergo, 106 won the death battle. Now, when it came to 096 and 173, in that one, we can't really tell because 173 was helped. It did manage to break a bunch of 096's bones, but we also doused 096 in acid during the fight and shot it because we were just trying to destroy 096. So I wouldn't call that a fair victory. So my final thought on this is I think 106 takes the win. I believe that 106 beat 173 eventually, and 096 lost to 173, albeit with a handicap. That's not fair to say, but it's close enough. And 106 is able to teleport through walls. It's able to dissolve 096's skin and bones. I mean, acid was part of what stopped 096 in the other test. So I have a feeling that 106 is going to take this, and if it can't, it's going to go into its pocket dimension and find a way to evade 096. And yeah, if it gets far enough away, 096 will have to spend the rest of its days chasing down 106. But either way, this goes to a stalemate to a 106 win. Next question.
Would SCP-173 be super effective in a hall of mirrors because you don't know which one is the real one?
Yes, that is a nightmare scenario. Because 173 can't be stopped by looking through a camera, and that means that the image of it doesn't work, which means the mirror isn't going to work. And so, yes, if you're surrounded by mirrors and you don't know which one's the real one, if you can't keep an eye on it, you're done for. That's a bad place. Don't run into a hall of mirrors if you're running from 173. Next question.
How much of SCP-096's face do you have to see to trigger him? Like, if you only look at his chin, or just his eyes and nothing else?
I'm not sure we have an answer to this one, nor would we test it, because think about it. If you're trying to get a picture of 096's face, and you get just the edge of the cheek, if it moves just a hair, you're losing a researcher. You're losing a D-boy. We don't have the infinite resources, so we're not going to try to get a picture of just its chin, or have someone hopefully walk in with their eyes covered and just move up until the chin is seen. That's a recipe for disaster if it moves just a little bit, so we're not testing that. That is reckless. Next question.
What happens when SCP-457 goes outside and it's really windy? Does he just die?
So yes, 457, the Burning Man, requires fuel to burn, and so it is possible that with wetness or wind, you could just put out and therefore neutralize 457. But then we can't test on it anymore, so we're not going to do that. Next question.
These users want to know, what would SCP-173 do against an owl? Since they can turn their heads 180 degrees, they're immune to neck snapping.
So after some preliminary research, it turns out that owls cannot turn their head 360. They can turn it 270 degrees on average before something bad happens. So yes, the owl's not going to survive that. That's why any cross-testing between the owl chemist and 173 has been denied again and again. You guys need to look at your nature facts a little more closely. Next question.
Can SCP-173 do anything in space, or is he useless since there's no gravity?
So here's the deal. 173 already moves due to anomalous means, not natural laws of friction and motion anyways. It just is a statue that moves. So I have this hunch that putting 173 in 0G is going to make it more mobile, not less, because it can just go anywhere now. It's not restricted by gravity. So 173 in space, terrible idea. Let's not go there. Next question.
Does SCP-096 get angry if an animal looks at his face? What about sentient hive minds like ants? Will he attack an entire colony if a single worker ant sees him?
Nothing in our documentation says that 096 attacks animals. So I am pretty wary to suggest that animals would be attacked by 096. However, we did previously talk about hive minds, and if it is a sentient being that can recognize it as a face and therefore recognize it, that seems to mean that if it hit the hive mind of people, then it would spread to the other people. That's as far as I can guess right now, but again, not testing it, not worth the resources. Next question.
Newton's cradle is that clicky-clacky ball thing. What happens if you put 4 SCP-018s on it and push one side?
It's simple physics. They will bounce off each other until they explode into the stratosphere and ruin everything. You know this, man. I know you're smarter than this. Help me to help you. Their whole thing is bouncing. It's logical. It's logical. We don't even need to test that. We already know the answer to that. And it's a bad idea. Next question.
This commenter wants to know what would happen if SCP-049 touches SCP-999. Would 999 get zombied? Would 049 become happy? Would both happen?
So looking at the database, I don't see any tests or interactions between 049 and 999, at least at a cursory glance. And unfortunately, my hypothesis goes counter to all the seemingly fan fiction writers on the database that imagine a happy time of 049 and 999 being best friends. We gotta remember that 049 causes the biological functions of whatever it touches to kaput. So I am afraid that that probably includes 999. It's certainly, again, nothing we're going to test for risk of hurting 999. So I don't think that's going to go well, and we're not testing it. Next question.
Can SCP-173 move across a really big hole to get to you? What happens if you turn around and he's halfway over the hole? Does he float there like a Looney Tunes character or fall down?
Okay, I actually like this one because I do believe that 173 could move fast enough to go over a hole. I think that gravity and the laws of physics and the motion there would allow for that. I also do believe that if you manage to catch it with your eyesight while it's over the hole, I don't think it would hover like Wile E. Coyote. I think it would just drop like a block of concrete. So I think that would be hilarious. I would actually try that for the cost of 1D class. Could be fun. Next question.
Everyone knows the story of SCP-294 and the Cup of Joe incident. But what happens if you order a Cup of Joe and your name used to be Joe, but you had it legally changed? Or your real name is Joseph and people only call you Joe as a nickname?
So yes, there are many times in anomalous situations where your identity is based on your perception of your identity and others' perception of your identity. As such, we deal with the folks who live in the forest that we do not talk about or name. People and entities like that, when it's about your belief in your identity, that will cause it to happen. I mean, it didn't hit a non-Joe, it specifically hit a Joe because it was a Cup of Joe. So yes, I think if you change your name legally, as long as everyone started calling you something else, and you went by that as your default identity, I do believe that the coffee machine would not try to take your insides into a coffee cup. Next question.
Playing ping pong with SCP-018 sounds like the best deadly sport imaginable. Get on that, Mr. Beast.
At least you were right that it is a death sport. It grows momentum every time it bounces, and also you are hitting it, which is giving it more force. So the obvious situation here is that within a couple of bounces back and forth, you are going to snap your wrist / lose the paddle. Losing the paddle would be good. Snapping the wrist would be worse. But you might even lose a whole arm if that ball is going fast enough. So, I mean, Mr. Beast, have a good time. I know you like torturing your contestants. Best of luck to you. Next question.
If you hide in SCP-3008 and look at a picture of Shy Guy, would he still be able to find you, or would he also get lost in the infinite IKEA?
I don't remember if you asked this question previously or if I just talked about it as a hypothetical based on another question. It might be the latter. But to be clear, 096 finds you through sense. It can sense where you are. And so if 096 is outside of the IKEA and you're inside the IKEA, it would be able to find the door for outside the IKEA to go inside and get you. And if you're both in the IKEA, it will have no problem finding you. It can barrel through those shelves. It will be there in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Next question.
What counts as the range for SCP-173? Am I looking at him if I'm like 20 miles away?
Well, first we need to know what the curvature of the Earth is, because I forget that fun fact right now. That's not my department. Okay, so fun science fact. The curvature of the Earth is so that if you were at ground level, you can only see 3 miles from ground level on a clear day. So in that case, 20 miles, way out of bounds. We're not worried about that. But I assume that there is a point on the curvature of the Earth where you can see 173. The problem is, it is still going to come to you at an increasingly fast speed. I guess not increasingly, just it's already a ludicrous speed every time you blink. So it's going to get there real quick. It's not going to matter how far you were. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. And next question.
What happens if you put SCP-1499, the gas mask, onto Shy Guy? Is he going to be stuck in that alternate realm forever? What if you look at a picture of his face? Does he come back with the gas mask on?
After checking the database, I don't think this is going to be a good way to protect yourself from 096, because simply put, if we could put a bag on 096's head and it would stay there, it would make containment a lot easier, but we can't keep the bag on there forever. I doubt if we somehow got 1499 on there and it teleported away, once it started freaking out and screaming, it would rip 1499 off its head and come back to our reality, in which case you get got. So I don't think that's going to save you. Next question.
This commenter wants to know who would win in a fight, the Gate Guardian or the Scarlet King?
Heavyweight fight. Scarlet King versus Gate Guardian. Let me check the database and see what intel I can get for you. After scouring the SCP Wiki database, as well as the subreddits and a bunch of other websites, because there's just not that much information on this particular bout as far as I can see, most sources tend to treat it as a hypothetical where either it comes to a stalemate or the Scarlet King ekes out a victory. And you know, I would have to say the same, because the Scarlet King is an extra universal threat. It's trying to end all life in the universe. Meanwhile, the Gate Guardian is guarding one gate on one planet. And so yes, it's more powerful than most things we can throw at it. And we do have a defeat condition for the Scarlet King that required 7 top-tier entities and persons with magic spears involved in a whole end-of-the-world scenario. I didn't find a defeat for the Gate Guardian, but I'm assuming that, I mean, we're not trying that hard because it's part of this, it's more docile. It's not trying to end us, so we're not trying to end it. End of story. I think the Scarlet King's going to take it, but if you've got a different opinion, leave it in the comments. And that's it for today's SCP Shower Thought reaction. Shout out to SCP Wyatt for such fun questions, and don't forget to leave your SCP Shower Thoughts in the comments, priority answers for patrons and YouTube members, and we'll see you in the next video. Secure, contain, protect. Thank you for listening. Site42 Studios and its staff are funded by viewers like you. Please become a patron or visit our merch store at the link in our bio to support our work. Secure, contain, protect.